Hey, it's Mike here, and today CosmicSkeptic, aka Alex, is no longer vegan, and a lot of people are probably like, who is that? I don't know. Why does it matter? Well, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the largest YouTube channel to be pushing some ethical vegan content at over 500,000 subscribers. And CosmicSkeptic is a philosophy channel. He has a degree in philosophy and theology from Oxford, so he was good at communicating stuff, unlike I have been in this sentence. So it's definitely a loss, and I was a bit surprised because people who tend to push the ethical message seemed to be vegan for longer than the 3 or so years that he was vegan, and it is the case that he dropped a little bit of information about why he did it on his YouTube community tab, essentially saying that his philosophical views were shifting. He only leans on difficulties eating a healthy plant-based diet as the justification, so there's definitely some lessons to learn here, a lot to talk about, and I was holding out for some video that he might make because he hinted at making one that would give me the opportunity to make a way more detailed video, and a lot of people already responded, but he hasn't made that video, and there's enough to talk about here at this point, so let's just go. For a bit of background, the first time he came on my radar was in 2019 when he made this video titled A Meat Eater's Case for Veganism, which was definitely an interesting angle. And soon after that, you guessed it, he went vegan. And then I've seen clips of him, pushing ethical veganism and presentations, etc. Here he is talking about it.
Non-human animals are members of our moral community and deserve to be treated as such, whether we like it or not. This unimaginable cruelty, this inexcusable contribution to moral, health, and environmental catastrophe.
And referring to his contribution in 2019, he actually said, quote, "I have never felt more embarrassed than when I first recognized my role in this circus of inhumanity." But again, recently he dropped that long YouTube community tab explainer as to why he's no longer vegan, where he also once again said that he was embarrassed, saying it's a quite embarrassing and humbling moment. And for the crux of it, in response to just the concern that he wasn't making much content or vegan-related content, he said, quote, "For quite some time, I've been reevaluating my ethical position on eating animals, which is something people have also noticed, but what you will not know is that I have also been struggling privately to maintain a healthy plant-based diet." And this is where I thought it was really interesting, because he doesn't say I was struggling to maintain my health on a plant-based diet. It was a healthy plant-based diet. Interesting wording, and it was definitely on purpose, because later on again, he says the same exact thing. Quote, "Maintaining a healthy plant-based diet in the long term." Since we're outside looking in on this, I mean, what was going on? Was he sort of eating junky and then feeling bad? Did he actually have some health-related ailment? I feel like he would have shared it here, but we can't be sure either way. So what kind of diet has he been eating lately? He doesn't give a ton of details, but he says that for some time he's been consuming animal products, again, primarily, but not exclusively, seafood, and experimenting with how best to integrate them into my life. So I assume he's doing maybe the same fish and eggs thing that we see over and over again. Anyway, we may not have a video response from him yet, but thankfully I have a new AI ex-vegan chat robot called ChatEXV, who is able to give us a preview of what he will probably say. Sorry, the British accent is really not there yet in the algorithm. Here he is. "I was not able to maintain a healthy plant-based diet. I know it's possible for other people who have a lot of time in private chefs, but it's just not possible for me or the average person. I just found myself eating a lot of processed foods that were devoid of nutrients, and I felt tired and anemic. I didn't get tested, but I still felt anemic. I don't have time or know how to cook, so I'm reliant on packaged foods which are not healthy. Knowing that I can't eat a healthy vegan diet means that I am ethically off the hook for eating animals. End of story. My name is now CosmicSkeptic." I'm joking, that was not part of it. Anyway, goes on to say that he's still against factory farming, which is just like the generic viewpoint. It's kind of crazy to go from vegan to be like okay with eating meat, but just, oh, factory farming's bad. 99% of people are against factory farming, but they tend to give, hundreds of dollars a year or more to that industry, sadly. Yeah, so it is weird that he just went from vegan, skipping all the way over vegetarian, to be like eating fish body parts. And it is also the case nowadays that a lot of fish farming is essentially factory farming in the water. So if you're going to a restaurant or whatever and ordering fish, it's pretty likely going to be from one of those farms. And also, we have a huge mislabeling issue. About 30% of fish globally are mislabeled. So even if you're trying to buy a certain special type of fish that you think is ethical, it's probably not going to happen. Especially over time, like right as you switched, he might be more concerned with all these sourcing and labels and stuff. But in a few months from now, I feel like he's probably just going to be, whatever fish. Next, he acknowledges why this could be a huge disappointment to some of his followers, and he's truly sorry for having so rigorously and at times perhaps too unforgivingly advocated for a behavior change that I myself have not been able to maintain. And yeah, he probably turned a lot of his viewers vegan. I mean, this would sort of be akin to some of the earlier vegans who went vegan because of Gary Yourofsky, then finding out that Gary Yourofsky is no longer vegan. He still is, I'm pretty sure. All right, now let's get to what I see as the crux of the situation with the limited information we have here. And I will say, even if I am off base with Alex here, I do still think that these are important, valid points for the general vegan community. And that is that often ethical vegans ignore the health aspects of eating a vegan diet and then end up eating really junky food, and oftentimes even wear it as like a badge of pride. They're like, I'm better than those healthy, focused vegans, so let's eat self-destructively. Bring on the donuts 3 times a day. This is an ethical lifestyle. Are those healthier vegans really that bad? Or did you already become addicted to ultra processed vegan foods and now you're trying to retroactively explain that away by deflecting and blaming other people or judging other people? Another one I've heard is just, I care more about animals than myself, so I don't care about my health at all. Like, what? And to be fair, a lot of these ultra-processed vegan foods are becoming more and more addictive along the lines of animal products, just due to their high calorie, salt, and sugar content, etc. And being an ultra-processed food addict is one thing, but another is just having such an ethical focus on veganism, which is valiant and all of that, but that you're ignoring, again, the point that he was making, a healthy plant-based diet and how to eat a healthy plant-based diet, never actually learning how to do so. And to be fair, I'm being harder on vegans here because I want them to succeed. I mean, the average person eating a meat-based diet also does not know how to eat healthy, and that will probably lead them to getting heart disease earlier than they otherwise would have, which is the leading killing disease, which makes quitting a vegan diet for health a little bit ironic. But the main lesson here is that a lack of vegan health knowledge can be a trapdoor for ethical vegans that can lead to them quitting veganism, sadly. And if I were to switch gears a little bit and be a little bit more critical of Alex, when he says he wasn't able to eat a healthy plant-based diet, it sort of comes off as he was saying, it's hard to eat a healthy plant-based diet, or it was too hard for me. Not really an excuse to not do the ethical thing. For an extreme example, it was obviously hard to stop the Nazis in World War II, but it was still the ethical thing to do. And I think looking at his own words is a little bit interesting here. He says, quote, I've committed myself to never again allow my convenience to balance upon the carcasses of any sentient members of our moral community. I think he's aware that fish are sentient. I mean, I don't know what the finer points of the debate that he would bring up on that are, but I think that's fair to say. Yet, it's a little bit of an inconvenience to say do an hour or two with a vegan nutritionist or meal planner, and that could have resulted in him eating a healthier plant-based diet. It does not appear that he did that based on what we know so far. And the question here is, does he think that it was personally too hard for him to plan and eat a healthy plant-based diet? Or does he think that it's not possible? Because I would just add a couple points there, like looking to studies over and over again showing lower disease rates, like massively lower obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, even lower cancer rates, and on and on. But I think we can get a little bit of clarification by overanalyzing this even more and looking at a single word which I have talked about in detail, and that is practicable. He says he is increasingly doubtful of the practicability of maintaining a healthy plant-based diet in the long term. A lot of people have mixed this up in the definition of veganism from the Vegan Society, just thinking it means practicable or convenient, but it actually means doable in practice. So he is insinuating that it is just not possible. And this brings me to a newer report. I always want to share newer information with you guys and haven't really covered this one. It is a 2022/2023 Faunalytics report on ex-vegans. We had that one from 2014, which I've talked about in detail. Often it's cited of like 80% of vegans quit or whatever. Well, this is sort of the sequel to it, and they looked at major concerns, and they found that 70% of former vegans did not actually put health as a major concern for quitting. This is funny because a lot of anti-vegans are like, it's the health, that's why everybody has to quit. Well, newer data saying no. What does sync up here is that the most chosen major concern for quitting for ex-vegans was dissatisfaction with vegan food. Nearly half of these people, and virtually that entire chunk fell into the subgroup of just being discontent with vegan food / craving animal products. This is really unfortunate because as somebody who has been very lucky to eat a ton of ridiculously delicious vegan food, this sounds kind of ridiculous, but then the more you think about it, even though vegan options exist, they might not be super duper accessible yet for everybody. People might have to drive 30 or 60 minutes to get that vegan food that they really like, or of course have to spend more effort into cooking it. Yet super high calorie animal-based foods are often right around the corner or just put right in front of their face several times a day, depending on who they're around. So I hate to say that this might just be another angle of looking at the same concern that I have always had, that a lot of people are just not eating enough food on a vegan diet as well. They're undercaloried, and therefore, their cravings take over, and that wears down on them over time. But thankfully, vegan food is becoming more available pretty much everywhere, which is awesome. And it really is in the UK. I mean, last time I was there, walking everywhere, you see little sandwich boards saying entire vegan menu like everywhere. But it's also the case that eating healthy is not convenient, whether you're on a vegan diet or you're trying to eat healthy on a omnivorous diet. It takes way more effort. So for some people that might not be practical. It's also not practical to have like disabling diseases. So, winning here is a little bit hard either way. But in terms of practicable or doable in practice, it is so obviously possible to eat a healthy plant-based diet. That's what my channel is all about. If there are particular points, I would love to address them in the future. So in the end, with this limited information, I do believe that Alex, aka CosmicSkeptic, could have stayed vegan with more effort. I mean, just going to a plant-based nutritionist again for a couple hours, I think that's less effort than it is to just make a YouTube video, which is something he's clearly done a lot. And then once planning a meal, if it's impractical to be cooking all the time, perhaps doing some batch cooking of well-rounded nutritional meals that can be eaten throughout the week, things like that. Heck, if he doesn't know how to cook, maybe just talk to some local vegans and get some cooking lessons or something like that. I just feel like there was a way, and I'm not seeing a strong initial argument for why he did that. And I think if there was a stronger argument, he would have just plopped it right down on that community post. In the end, I have noticed that a lot of like more intellectual types tend to just not make a lot of time in their schedule to eat a healthy diet and learn about foods and focus on foods. They kind of want to just keep this academic lifestyle where they're not doing that. And so maybe that over time kind of wore him down and made him eat, again, those less healthy foods. But I still don't think that means it's impossible to eat a healthy vegan diet. Anyway, I'm done speculating. Let me know down below what you guys think and if there's any information that I'm missing here. And once again, feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.